Okay, so Marvel just revealed the new X-Men cast, and honestly, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this. Like, because on one hand, like these are some really good choices here, but then on the other hand, we get Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. The hell is going on? Now, Marvel just announced the cast for its brand new X-Men movie at D23, and this is basically the first time that we're getting like a real look at what these MCU versions of the X-Men is going to be. And as someone who once again fell off from the Marvel train after Civil War, this is probably the most interested I've been in Marvel in years. So let's talk about the cast, right? We got Sadie Sink as Jean Grey. We got Kit Connor as Scott Summers, Cyclops. Christopher Abbott as Professor Charles Xavier. That's an interesting one. Samara Weaving as Emma Frost. Inde Navarrette as Rogue. And Maya Boyd as Storm. And Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. Now, first things first, let's get into Sadie Sink. Now, this one makes a lot of sense because obviously she's known for Stranger Things. I never watched it, I just didn't care for it, but she's also shown in general, especially through the new Spider-Man movie, that she can handle emotional and dramatic material. And Jean Grey's like, she's not just like, hey, I'm a girl with telekinesis, right? There's a lot that you can do with the character of Jean, especially if Marvel eventually goes down the Phoenix route. But that's also my concern with this, right? Marvel, please do not rush this, right? Because I do not want the MCU to introduce, like, because there's already a lot of backlash about Jean Grey, about her not actually being a morally great character, pun intended, right? And then immediately turn her into the Phoenix because they think that that's the only interesting thing about the character. We already seen that story. Let Jean actually be Jean first. Give us time to care about her. Then we have Kit Connor and Cyclops. Now, I'm a casual in just movies in general, so some of these actors, I don't even know who they are. But my thing with this is that I think this could be one of the most important castings because Cyclops, he's been done dirty for years. This was my Cyclops, and not only the X-Men 2000s version, but then the X-Men 97 version. Because the when I grew up, like it wasn't all about Wolverine. Like, and I remember like watching the show and everything and anything involved with it, especially if I seen a comic or anything. Cyclops was the leader. He was the draw to X-Men. Like, as hard as that might be, like able to believe, it was not always Wolverine. It wasn't until Hugh Jackman did a phenomenal job in the role. It wasn't until he took up the mantle of Wolverine that we get it shoved down our throats as far as making him the main protagonist of anything that's related to X-Men, right? When it comes to Scott Summers, like he's not just the guy that's standing next to Wolverine, always angry that his girlfriend's getting hit on by Wolverine, right? He's a leader. He's strategic. He's basically the field commander for the X-Men. And if Marvel actually gives Scott Summers the respect he deserves, I'm in. Because one of the biggest complaints with superhero movies is that they sometimes take the characters who should be incredibly important and then turn them into supporting characters. I don't want that with Cyclops. No more. Next, we got Samara Weaving as Emma Frost. And yeah, like this actually might be maybe my top three of the like favorite castings for this because I feel like this is one of those castings where you immediately understand like why they picked this person. Like she can act I was looking through a little bit of her material a little bit, but she's someone that could actually pull off that role where Emma Frost not only do you need to be straightforward and like have confidence and attitude like that's what Emma Frost needs. But I think this is actually good for a character like her who has enormous amounts of great area to her character. And honestly, Marvel needs more characters like this again. Characters who aren't just good guy, who aren't just bad guy, or good guy who becomes bad. Like give us some actually morally complicated characters. And this right here might actually be the biggest bombshell of the day is that we have Inde Navarrete as Rogue for this movie. Now, there's a lot of people that wish she could have been casted as like Black Cat. Some people were on like leaking stuff on the internet saying she was going to be Mystique, but we got her as Rogue. And she's had a great story, right? Now, the first time I saw her, which I didn't even realize that I saw her, was when she was in the Superman and Lois TV series back then. But if you know anything about her story, she's actually like she was not always this big star, but she always has been in Hollywood, and she's been trying to work her way up into roles. And then after the performance that she gave in Obsession, which was phenomenal, right? Especially for the budget of the movie, for it to be one of the biggest movies of the year, I think she earned her flowers, and I'm happy that she's just able to finally get that limelight a little bit. So moral of the story with her is never give up, just keep working. Then we have Maya Boyd as Storm, and I'm gonna be honest, right? This is one of the ones where I'm gonna have to see a little bit more of it to completely judge them, but that's the exciting part because we haven't seen the movie yet. We're not supposed to know everything, and apparently this isn't even the complete cast, right? So if you're sitting there saying like, "Where's Wolverine? Where's Magneto? Where's Beast? Where's Gambit?" Relax. Marvel has already indicated that there is going to be more casting to come. So this is basically the opening lineup, not necessarily the entire team. And if you actually know anything about X-Men, you would know that Wolverine actually wasn't there when it was first created. And I feel like they even showed that in some of the movies as well too. But hey, I digress. I've been seeing a little bit of some talk online about people saying she's like not dark enough to actually play Storm and stuff like that. Like I don't think we necessarily care about that because at the end of the day, it truly like yeah, you want some good representation of like the comic accuracy, but it really just comes down to the actor. When Holly Berry was playing Storm. Like every time, especially in the first one, every time she was on screen, and she had limited screen time. If you actually look back at those movies, she blew it away every time. And to be fair, if you do have 2000s Holly Berry there, right, you don't one, you can't really mess that up. Then we have Christopher Abbott as Professor X, Charles Xavier. Now, this is a tough one because every person that has played him, they've done a phenomenal job. You had Patrick Stewart, and then you had what's his name, James McAvoy, right? So these are some pretty good characters. So you got like some pretty big shoes to fill in this. But again, the movie's not out, so we just have to wait and see what they do. And then last but not least, we have Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. Now, I actually kind of love it, right? Mr. Sinister, he's one of those characters like in Marvel where he can you can either completely screw it up or you can actually make him one of the most entertaining villains in the MCU. And Adam Driver, like I first saw him when he was in Star Wars when they were rebooting it with the new Disney films, but he's actually proven himself as an actor outside of everything from that. I think this was just an interesting cast, but like I said, I'm interested in this one because he's an actor who has a lot of range. So like I don't necessarily think he could do it bad. But here's the thing I care about: can Marvel actually make the X-Men matter again? Because let's be real, Marvel's had rough years, right? They've been like they had some great projects, but then there's also been a lot of projects that we haven't like cared about like at all, right? And that's the problem. It's not necessarily that Marvel doesn't have good characters anymore. It's that the audience isn't automatically excited because something just says Marvel Studios on it. That's the problem. And X-Men is one of those few franchises that could actually change that because the X-Men aren't just another superhero team, right? They're one of Marvel's biggest properties, and there's so much material that can be pulled from all of this. But this is where I'm personally interested again, right? Because like I said before, I fell off with Marvel after Civil War. I watched some of the movies. I've seen some of the TV shows like Daredevil, The Defenders, Jessica Jones. Like I've seen some of them, right? But I wasn't sitting there like waiting for every Marvel announcement anymore. And now I'm actually paying attention again, right? Avengers Doomsday has me interested. The X-Men has me interested. And if Marvel can actually connect these things without turning the MCU into just one giant crossover, I think they actually might have something here, right? Because that's what I want. I don't need every movie to have 14 cameos, right? I don't need every character from the last 20 years to show up in the movie. I just want good movies, good superhero movies. But Marvel, I am warning you right now, do not screw this up because the X-Men are one of those franchises where people already have really strong opinions. And like we already had multiple versions of these characters. Like I said earlier, Patrick Stewart as Professor X. We had Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. We've had Mr. Martison, James Martison as Cyclops. We've had Holly Berry as Storm. And we've had multiple versions of almost everybody, right? So you're walking into a franchise where the audience already knows what these characters can be. You can't just slap X-Men on the name, like on the name of the movie, and then expect people to show up. You got to give us a reason to care. And I think they're going to do that when we get basically some of the Doomsday action too, because this movie's set for about 2 years away. So there's a lot that's going to be coming out before we actually get this movie. But overall, I'm actually pretty optimistic about this. Like I'm actually dead serious, right? I'm still going to watch the movie, right? Because this cast, yeah, I'm interested, right? JD Sink as Jean Grey got me. Kit Connor as Cyclops, I'm willing to test it out, right? Samara Weaving as Emmett Frost, very interested. Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. The fact that Marvel is finally moving forward with its own X-Men instead of just teasing mutants for the next 5 years, thank God, right? Because this movie's scheduled, like I said, about 2 years out, which means there's a long time before we actually get whether Marvel cooked in this or not, or they just completely burnt the kitchen down, right? So let me know what you think. Like, did Marvel actually cook with this? Like, did you like the casting, or do you think that there should have been different people in certain roles? You let me know in the comment section right now, and if you did make it to this point in the video, I would love it if you at least put X-Men down in the comment section below. That way I just know you saw it, right? That helps me figure out if I'm actually making good content or not. But if you did like the video, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, because I'm gonna be here for all of this. And also, if you do want to, hear a little bit more of my commentary about certain characters, I'm gonna have a video that's gonna be popping up on either side of me soon, basically talking about Doctor Doom. I don't know, like I I did not know that Doctor Doom was such a fire character, and I had my mind blown when I actually went through the lore. So if you are curious about that, it'll be up here. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Hope you have a good day. Bye.